Hello, grandparents. Tis I, CJ. I'm doing this video for more than just one of you this time around. Um, so I'm addressing you as a collective. All right, so what did I manage to get done today? December 2nd. It's sad that it took me a while to remember the date, considering I signed it a whole bunch of times today, but that's besides the point. CJ, how was work today? About as good as you think it would go. You don't need to ask me any more questions. All right, now with that out of the way, what did I actually manage to accomplish after work? Well, two things. One exciting for myself, the other one exciting, I guess, for people who care that I actually managed to get my responsibilities done. Um, I went to get the new car, the Subaru Forester, smogged, and get the VIN verified. Which was an awful process after work. So I pulled up. By the way, this is story time. Anyway, so I pulled up to the emissions place, and they have a nifty sign that tells you like how long you're gonna wait. Supposedly. So I pull up, and it says 37 minutes, and I'm like, cool. I got here at like 4:17. I'll be done by like 5ish. It'll be great, right? Wrong. So, I'm sitting there, I'm waiting. Now, mind you, I'm not actually like in the lot yet. I'm in that like line space that they have because they know that they're going to have cars lined up. So, I'm waiting there, and I'm like, I'm parked, so I'm watching videos on my phone and whatnot. And then finally, I get to pull forward all the way up to the point where I can like press the button to get a ticket. The lever arm opens and I drive inside, right? And I push the button. No ticket. That's not normal. So naturally, I push it again. And at this point, after my second push, I'm watching a guy walk up to me. Like he's left the area and is walking all the way over. That's not normal. And I'm thinking, like, uh-oh. He's going to tell me that they're like full of cars and I need to go home. But he comes up, looks at me, looks at the button, looks at me, and goes, "Did it not print you a ticket?" And I was like, he goes, "That tracks." And then the lever arm opens and he goes, "Go ahead and pull forward and get behind the red Jeep." And I'm like, okay. So I pull up over there, and then another car comes up behind me. And so now I'm trapped in this line. And like, time is going, you know, as time is wont to do. And after a couple minutes, no one has moved. And when I say a couple minutes, I mean it's been like 10 minutes and no one's moved. And I'm like, are they going to tell us that I need to leave after I spend all my time like waiting here in line? And finally one car pulls forward. So I pull up. Now there's only 3 cars in front of me before there's like the spot on the outside of the garage area. That's what I'm going to call it. There's like a spot right there. So it's like waiting spot, a muscle car, the red Jeep, me. And then inside is another car. And I'm like, well, at least the line's moving. That's good. After a significant amount of time later, like, I see 3 guys exit the building and they're like walking towards the rest of us cars. And I'm looking at my watch and it's like 4:45ish. And I'm like, it's not happening today. I just wasted my time. And like guys are walking up, and this one gentleman walks up, and he walks up to the car in front of me and is talking to that person. So I roll my window down because I want this to go as smoothly as possible. And the dude walks up, and he's like, year of your car? And then I'm like, 2010, stay here. So naturally, of course, I'm like, okay, I'm in my car. And then I watch as they open up the other lane. So at this garage, there are like 3 lanes, and 2 of them are for all-wheel drive cars, and the other one is like one that they don't even use. They opened up the other one. So, a big old friggin' car. It's called a van! From the other lane goes across my lane over to that one. And then all the cars kind of move forward, and I'm like, okay, cool. And so they ask the driver of the muscle car to pull up. I watch him. He gets waved in. I'm like, okay. And then he gets his emissions tested. And as they pull his car forward, the guy waves the Jeep forward. And then now I'm at the line that says, wait for the technician. So I'm sitting there. And then the red Jeep goes. And, they finish the red Jeep. But the entire time, they do not wave me through. I'm just sitting there at the, I'm like, aren't you going to pull me forward to the waiting spot? I mean, that'd be kind of nice to be up there. And there are other people who are working, and they, walk across, and they look at my car, and they're just like, to which I'm like, what do you mean? Which, now that I think about it, is probably due to all the cars that were, behind me. But, I'm just the one dude. So over on the right-hand side, that dude gets asked to pull up. The dude on the left-hand side, he gets asked to pull up. And so now I'm just sitting there waiting. And then finally they finish the Jeep, and they pull me forward, and I get out. And I open my door, and the guy's like, ticket. And I'm like, it didn't print a ticket. He's like, it didn't print you a ticket? I'm like, no, I hit the button, and an employee came out, and he asked me, did it not print you a ticket? And I went. And so he's like, of course it didn't print you a ticket. It's a friggin' crap show here. That's not normal. So I'm just like, sure, dude. Whatever it takes for you to smog and get me my VIN number. Or, my VIN number verified. And he's like, cool, just roll down your window and go wait in there. And he sends me into a room that's really just a hallway. You've been to emissions places. You know what they're like. And now I'm in there with, 5 other people. And I put in my earbuds. I'm listening to my book. I'm playing my game on my phone. And, I get to the other side, and the guy's like, ticket? And I'm like, there's no ticket, man. I would have thought that the dude on the other side of this hallway would have. And he's like, he goes, and you needed I'm like, the emissions and my VIN number verified, please? He goes, right. And then, as he types away. And then he gives me my receipt. He gets me my paper for my emissions, and he gets my paper to say that, hey, my VIN is verified. And then he looks me in the eye with dead seriousness as he's, about to hand over the paper. I say that. He has, his hand on the printer waiting for it to print. And he goes, look, do not get this stained. Do not fold it. Do not crease it, or they will send you back here. Do you understand? And I'm just like, that's not normal. And then he hands it over to me. He goes, great, have a good night. And I leave. And it took me an hour and a half. So that's one thing I did tonight. The other thing that I did was I finally got this working. Now, what you don't know is that, like, I have to set up the microphone and the camera and the recording software to do all this. But I also want to be able to see the screen of my Xbox on this program. And I've got a fancy little plug box over here to my left that I'm not going to show you because my desk is just covered in wires. It's all wires. It's all wires. It always has been. Anyway, so now, hopefully this works. I can do this. Pretty cool, right? And we cover that back up. Anyway, that took me like another hour to there's a clock over there, by the way. You guys can't see it, but I'm staring at it. Anyway, it took me an hour to figure out how to do this. And when I say an hour, I mean an hour tonight, because I also spent like a good portion of yesterday trying to figure out why my camera and the capture card is the thing that I'm using to display the Xbox stuff. You don't need to know this. Anyway, it took me a while to figure out why the camera and the Xbox stuff wasn't working together. And it turned out, or as it turns out, here, let me make the screen larger so that way this isn't distracting. Anyway, it turns out that you can't have two sources of video coming from the same USB. And you might be asking yourself, but CJ, isn't the webcam and the thing that you're using to see the Xbox two separate USBs? And I say, yes it is. But I had them plugged both into a USB splitter, and it turns out that two sources of video trying to go through one cable, in layman's terms, it doesn't fit, right? It's like trying to shove two spaghetti noodles through a one wide spaghetti noodle straw. CJ, that's a horrible analogy. I know. But it works. Anyway, so it turned out all I needed to do was plug in that camera into a different USB port than the one off the splitter, and that's all I needed. So now it works. I'm so jazzed. Anyway, that's all I got for tonight. Deuces. No, it's not. I love you all, and I wish you well. Now deuces. Okay, bye.